accordingly protected myself from exposures to this to what today would be considered a fanatical degree, because all those safety standards had been dumped in the toilet bowl. So there was a point in history, I think it was around 1969, that the American embassy, I think it was in Moscow or something, it had been determined that there was a 400 megacycle carrier wave that was being broadcast through there. It wasn't particularly powerful. The purpose of it is what you do is you listen to the echoes that come back, and the vibrations of physical objects in the room modulate the radio waves, and you run it through a phase comparator, and then you can hear what people are saying inside the building. Today they use lasers.
That's what you're talking about.
So at any rate, everybody was getting sick, or there was something that made this a famous story in its time. So the woman that was running the science department in my high school knew that I had a Bell System TD2 microwave system in my laboratory in my parents' garage. So she showed me an issue of a magazine that was popular amongst science teachers and what have you. I think it was titled Science or something like that. And they had discussed this Soviet thing, and they had done some experiments with milliwatt levels of these 30 to 10 centimeter wavelengths. In this case, it was the frequency I was using was 4,000 megacycles. And she wanted me to duplicate the experiment, to bring the stuff to school and set up a laboratory away from the rest of the students. So, the principal was all concerned about radiation and stuff, so they set me up with a laboratory. And sure enough, no more than 10 or 15 milliwatts of exposure of those frequencies to radish seeds produced radical changes in germination and growth patterns. For only 15 minutes of exposure, and now human exposure to these particular wavelengths is orders of magnitude greater than that. Particularly, your silly phone. So you're holding this thing right next to you. I encouraged some people once to do an experiment, take radish seeds, and back when these things still had external antenna on them, and tape them onto the antenna, and then motor mouth on the phone for a couple of hours, and then take the seeds and plant them side by side with the control seeds that are kept in some kind of thermal environment, which would be the same temperature. That's what we did. And see what level of mutation this stuff causes. But this Wi-Fi thing now has just created a complete saturation of centimeter wavelength interference. And, it's interesting.
That's interesting.
You're sonar to examine the body, which is interesting. That really doesn't have much to do with the digital end of it, because you're dealing with the radio waves themselves and not the modulation, but maybe the spectra, the digital. I'd have to kind of see what it is that you were.
Yeah. That's something I'd love to share with you at a later time privately. Because I was speaking with an associate this past weekend. The sun gives off supposedly electromagnetic waves, similar to what it's Wi-Fi does it artificially, of course. But I found a National Institute of Health study, that broke down the effects of skin cancer in race and ethnicity, and the results and findings were incredible, because it allowed me to do some more research to find out if the National Institute of Health did research on electromagnetic wave propagation and how it might have affected race as well. So I took the two studies, and I found out that electromagnetic waves from cell phones and other types of electronic devices have a negative effect on people of low melanin count or fair skin, whereas people with a very high melanin count and dark skin, African, black people, they can absorb the UV radiation, electromagnetic wave radiation, and it doesn't have any kind of ill or adverse effects to them physically at all. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they can't afford to have computers all over their house and cell phones and so on and so forth. But the study involved, you know, the same equal group of, you know, different ethnicities and races. And they all use the same devices at the same, you know, the same level. And there was literally less than 1% adverse effect on the higher melon count of people versus fair skin and Caucasian. So it dawned.
I have a complication, you know, when I do outside, you know, work and what have you, and if you use plastic wire ties that are white, they have no life whatsoever. The altitude or here is just, the sunlight just destroys them. But if you use black wire ties, they're not affected, which makes sense because the black basically just kind of short circuits the whole thing out. There's no depth of penetration for the radiation to get in, where if they're, you know, kind of quasi-clear or white, the radiation can get right in and then destroy the molecular structure of the plastic.
I thought that was really interesting where, you know, blacks can absorb UV radiation. It makes their bones more dense and stronger, and it has the exact opposite effect.
I wouldn't say that they're absorbing it, and I would say more that they're shorting it out. They can't properly.
Well, on a physiological and anatomic comparative level, blacks do have a higher bone density and body mass density than their Caucasian counterpart. The medical research, you know, tries to explain why this is. But when you throw the sun into it, and, you know, we all grew up saying, oh, you need to have some sunlight. You know, it's rich with vitamin D. Well, that's the same thing, you know, they're claiming, hey, drink your milk because milk will help your bones grow stronger. You know, we all were told this when we were kids, but you get it naturally from the sun. I mean, for example, when my son was born, you know, the first 6 hours of his life, the first thing the nurse told me, hey, go walk outside the room when the sun is out, just stand up against the window, let the sun shine on him so he can get some color, you know, and absorb some of these vitamins, you know, and this was something I had already known, you know, because I worked in a hospital on a pediatric ward, but it gave me that time to think, like, wow, I need to start doing some more research into, you know, what I'm doing on the advanced technical level, because now, you know, I've got to be more cognizant of, okay, what's the environment doing? How is that going to affect what I'm going to develop on the hardware, software, technical level with regard to signal transmission and receipt? And, you know, I know there's probably other people who want to talk and ask you a bunch of questions. I'd love to share emails with you. If you don't do emails,
no, I don't have the email, but you can always write me at my Lone Pine address.
Yeah, I have that address, and I'll write to you, and then we can have a phone conversation. I want to share with you the algorithm because I had to have a German test and measurement company develop, custom engineer one of their advanced oscillators, where I needed them to remove a piece of hardware that would allow me to capture this signal on the measurement and signature level. And they got really interested in why I wanted to do that and said, hey, we'd like to talk to you about this. You know, what are you working on? And I'm like, for right now, can you do it? Just let me know if you can do it. So I'm heading into the final stages of putting the prototype out there. And once I have that, I'd love to share it with you so you can kind of reverse engineer it and tell me what you think and how it could be made better or how it could be made multi-purpose in several different areas. Because NASA JPL out in Pasadena became interested in the algorithm, shared it with their signals lab, and the first question out of their mouth was, where did you get this?
What are you working on? You know, and I'm like, nothing. Did you validate it? Yeah, we did validate it. This is incredible. What, you want to talk to us? No, I don't want to talk to you. Thank you very much. And that was it. Never spoke to them again. But they ended up creating something similar to what I'm working on, and you can find it on the internet. It's called the Finder. JPL. It's called the Finder. Now, what they developed is about a carry-on size, suitcase-size device, and it's got it's a hot mess. What I will put out in the field will be the size of a credit card you can plug into a laptop. And actually, it'll be the size of like the USB key from your wireless mouse you can plug into a laptop. That's how big it'll be. That's how big it'll be. What they developed is just a box of garbage. But they developed it based on the paper that was shared with them on the university level. So, Eric, I want to thank you very much. I mean, I've been watching your videos, listening to you a long time, and I couldn't believe I was going to have this opportunity to actually ask you a question, and it's an honor. I'm going to continue to follow you. Stay healthy, stay strong, and I look forward to, speaking with you further and exchanging brain synapses and neurons. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It sounds very interesting.
Take care, sir.
Eric? Oh, I could keep going all day.